do a little like pitch. I remember that. Yeah, like my experience and all that stuff. And then they ask questions. Yeah. I hope this doesn't go real long.
You're gonna cut off comment or something.
Yeah. There's a lot of people here.
Right.
One of these is in my backyard. Actually, Villages B.
Villages B.
Yeah, got just a small farm down there, 140 acres, but I back right up to it. Yeah. Looks like it. I'm trying to look at the. I get cut off on the map.
I think we all
Back up to the Villages. I know. Well, that's why I don't think too much of it. It's like, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, John and I are in Palmora, and there's going to be a day that we say that we back up to the Villages.
The day what?
There's going to be a day we say that we back up to the Villages in Palmora Park. That's the way we're going.
Well, Ted's there now too.
I know.
Yeah, you guys are all. Yeah,
We're all backing up.
I'm right. I think I'm just south of the B. Yeah, I can't tell anymore.
Don't you live in Leesburg?
Oh,
Yeah, it's just off Youth Camp. I almost said Austin Mira turns into Youth Camp.
Okay.
So I think I'm on the tail end. The Villages was coming across the lake to me.
Yeah, check it out.
I don't know if that's what it is or not. I can't tell. I'm looking at it.
I just told him I didn't want to.
It's all good. It's not hurting.
Oh, you'd be right there at the limit.
Yeah, it's, we just see, look at the growth. We're all going to be part
All
of
that
that.
computer cat
Understand this area one way or another.
Well, it's coming from the Claremont North.
Considered.
Yeah, from Leesburg South. Yeah. It's
Big contiguous suburb to Orlando.
That's what it is. That's what it's getting. But you know, it's damn convenient. I mean, I can get to anywhere. Now, where you guys are is a lot better. Okay, we looked in Palmora, and I think we're just going to hold off and wait. I think the market may shift a little next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
And,
I think it might be too. It's funny though, you know, so I'm from California, and my brother is so fed up with their you know, like we couldn't do in-person learning this fall. My sister-in-law is a teacher. My brother works for a refinery, which has since closed because there's no local gas to be on. So he's like, you know, he's been there 15 years, so he got furloughed. My sister-in-law got furloughed, you know, pending all this stuff. So they decided to move to Palm Harbor. So she's teaching in Palm Harbor.
You're in Palm Harbor, Florida?
Yeah. So they came all the way. So she starts her job on the 5th. My nieces and my brother and his wife get here on Sunday.
Good for you, man. It's nice to have family there.
Oh my God, yeah.
What part of California?
I am from wine country, like north of San Francisco, about 45 miles. So,
Santa Rosa?
north of San Francisco, Ukiah.
Okay, I know there. Yeah, I worked there for a couple of years.
Yeah, so I grew up in Ukiah. There's 3,500 people, and there's like 55 miles. A little bit different, but my brother lives in Santa Rosa. He's moving from, put his house on the market. He got 12 offers on the first day for $41,000 more than the list price on a cash deal with a 2-week close. Because everybody's leaving the city.
That's one brother. I still have one brother out in Santa Clara. You know,
Yeah.
San Jose area.
Yeah.
He's the same thing. He's renting. He's paying $4,000 for a 3-2 at 1,800 feet. He's like, no. That's all?
Oh, that's crazy.
Heck, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, you all ready? Yep. Take this opportunity to welcome everybody to the Leesburg-Planning and Zoning Commission, September 24th. We're going to take care of some business today. I think we appreciate your interest about what's going to be taking place. We're going to please rise for the invocation and the pledge to the American flag. Dear Lord, we ask that you be with us today as we conduct the city of Leesburg's business. We hope that the decisions we make here today will be pleasing in your sight. Pray this in thy most holy name. Amen.
To America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Commissioners, you have before you two sets of minutes. One is for the August 13 meeting, and the next one is the August 20th meeting. I'll be looking for a motion to approve and accept the August 13 minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we move on to the August 20th minutes. Again, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the August 20th minutes.
I have a motion to approve with no amendments or corrections. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Now, Dan, if I would, can you please give the people information on how we do business and the rules of order for the planning and zoning meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 24, 2020 Leesburg-Planning Commission meeting. My name is Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning Manager with the City of Leesburg. Staff present today includes Sabrina Mitchell, Diane Pacewitz, Carrie Lee Murray, Candy Harper. The agenda, we have some additional agendas now on the table by the back door. If you'd like to speak on a case, we ask that you please sign the speaker's registry. Under the rules of participation, the meeting will be conducted under the following process. One, the chairman will announce the case, and then staff will read exhibits into the record that will include photos and text presented on the screen. Staff will then read a recommendation into the record, and the applicant will have the opportunity to speak on the application. The chairman will then allow time for public comment, and the applicant will have an opportunity for a rebuttal. The chairman will then close the case to the public, and the commission will discuss the case. A vote will be taken, and the commission will then move on to the next case. The Planning Commission is an appointed board that makes either recommendations to the City Commission or final decisions based on the type of case being heard. The zoning cases on this agenda will result in recommendations to the City Commission. The City Commission will render the final decisions. The variance case today is a final decision. There are tentative dates for City Commission hearings that are listed in bold on the agenda for those cases that are going to the City Commission. We ask you to please check with our office or the City Clerk's office regarding final hearing dates. They are subject to be changed from time to time. Due to a building scheduling conflict, today's meeting is going to be handled a little bit differently than the normal routine. We will hear the first two cases on the agenda, which is for the Roebuck Ostrander comp plan and PUD zoning requests. Once that is done, we will take a recess and move to the third floor of City Hall and hear the remainder of the cases. Staff will make an announcement at that time so everyone will be aware. One final note, you will hear two recommendations tonight, staff recommendation and planning commission recommendation. Staff recommendations are based on the city's comprehensive plan and local land development codes and are designed to tell the planning commission that an application is or is not consistent with the comprehensive plan and local land development codes. They're not a final decision, but just a recommendation that a proposal does or does not comply with the requirements of the comp plan and land development codes. The Planning Commission also makes a recommendation. This is a recommendation to the City Commission that the City Commission either approve or deny an application. Only the City Commission has the final say, and as noted earlier, City Commission dates are listed on the agenda, so I would ask you to please pay attention to those dates so that you'll know when to attend, and feel free to contact our office, and we'll update you with the latest dates we have. Finally, whatever your position on the cases that are being heard today, on behalf of the City of Leesburg and the Leesburg Planning Commission, I would like to thank you for your participation in today's public hearing. Mr. Chairman, staff is ready for you to announce the first case.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
And we need to swear everyone in, I'm sorry.
Yes. All of those who wish to speak to the commission this afternoon, please raise your hand. and you will be sworn in. Please, Ms. Candy. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So help you God. Okay, introducing public hearing case LSCP 20-125 RO, which is Roebuck Ostrander Residential Large-Scale Comp Plan Amendment. Daniel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For RO residential, there are two cases.
Dan, get onto your mic a little closer.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For RO residential, there are two cases for this proposal to be heard this evening. One is for the comprehensive plan and the other is for the zoning. For the convenience of the people that are attending tonight, and because these two cases are related, with the chairman's permission, staff's requesting that we go over both cases as a whole, and then afterward the commission can vote on each case separately, so it'll be easier to understand that way.
Thank you.
First case is PUD 20125 RO Residential, which is large-scale comp plan, and this is a request to amend the city future land use category of this 83.51 acres plus or minus from Lake County urban low density to City of Leesburg estate residential. Please note both of these future land uses do allow 4 units per acre. And then the second case is case PUD 20-126 RO residential PUD zoning. This is a request to amend the zoning on the property to PUD planned unit development. And it's a request for a recommendation to the City Commission for a 265-unit subdivision on 83 plus or minus acres. For these two cases, Candy Harper will be presenting the maps this evening. The photo exhibits that will include aerial zoning, future land use, surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The first map we have on the screen shows you where the city limits of Leesburg are. They are in gray on that map, so that will let you know where this project is in relation to other properties that lie within the corporate boundary of the city of Leesburg. And this area is designed to show you the specific properties that are involved in this application. And this map shows you the zoning that is around the application property. You'll see that it is a lot of planned unit development property out there, which is what they're seeking today. And Lake County zoning indicates residential and agricultural around the property. And our future land use map, of course, reflects what we've done in annexations and former planned unit developments and large-scale comprehensive plan amendments. And the Lake County future land use map indicates urban low density around the subject property. The proposed future land use map is something that the Department of Economic Opportunity wants to see in each application that it reviews. And what it shows is what the future land use will be on the subject property should these applications be approved. The surrounding land uses have to do with residential and a little bit of agricultural to the north and residential to the south, east, and west. And that while there are wetlands around the property, there is not much. There's just a touch on the extreme eastern side of the property, so they're pretty high and dry. And our community redevelopment area to the south is the 441-27 corridor, and that's as close as they are to the community redevelopment area. And staff does go out, as prescribed by Florida statutes, to post the property to let you know that there are applications coming up. And this was about as close as we could get to the property. I could not see the road, and the vegetation was taller than the vehicle we were in, so I did not drive through it. But we did post on Highway 44, which is what we're required to do under statute. And then we take pictures north and across the road and south to give you a general feeling for the area where we posted the sign. I believe that's looking southwest along County Road 44 from where we posted the sign. And that's all I have, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Candy. With that, we'll move to the departmental review summary. The application was sent out to the various city departments. There were no substantive comments brought back from that review. Under public responses, as you can see, we had numerous public responses to this request. In a brief summary, the concerns that staff received are roads and traffic, property values, lot sizes, density, schools, and access, and obviously a number of people are here to comment. I'd like to go ahead and read the two recommendations, go over the PUD at this time. Under Planning and Zoning Division, recommendations for Roebuck Ostrander PUD, large-scale comp plan LSCP 20-125. Planning and Zoning Division is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. One, the project meets the requirements of Chapter 163-3184 Florida statutes for large-scale comp plan amendments. Two, the proposed request as conditioned in the associated plan unit development document is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County urban low density and Lake County rural transition. Three, the proposed request as conditioned in the associated PUD document is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County agricultural residential, Lake County R1, which is rural residential, Lake County R3, which is medium density residential, and Lake County C1, which is their neighborhood commercial. Four, the proposed future land use designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element goal 1, objective 1.6. The action requested would be to vote to approve the large-scale comp plan designation from Lake County urban low density to City of Leesburg estate residential and forward the recommendation to the City Commission for consideration. On the following case, the zoning case, that was the future land use case, under the zoning case for the project Roebuck Ostrander PUD, case number PUD 20-126, Planning and Zoning Division is recommending approval for the following reasons. One, the proposed request as conditioned in the associated PUD zoning document is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts of Lake County agricultural residential, Lake County rural residential, Lake County medium residential district, Lake County C1 neighborhood commercial. The proposed request as conditioned in the PUD document is compatible with the adjacent future land use designations of Lake County urban low density and Lake County rural transition. Three, the proposed zoning designation for the site is consistent with the city's growth management plan, future land use element goal 1, objective 1.6. The action requested is vote to approve the zoning designation from Lake County R1 rural residential and Lake County R3 medium density residential, medium residential district, to City of Leesburg estate residential, City of Leesburg planned unit development, and forward this recommendation to the City Commission for their consideration. Under the actual PUD document that we're referring to here, what has been proposed is a 265-unit single-family residential development on 83 plus or minus acres, giving a density of 3.2 units per acre. The allowed or permitted uses, I would say, are detached single-family, and the prohibited uses would be townhouses, multifamily, any commercial. There are 3 different lot sizes which are being requested. One is an 80-foot wide lot for 9,600 square feet, and then there are 50 by 110s and 50 by 120s, which are 5,500 and 6,000 respectively. Along, and then going over the conditions, Mr. Chairman, along the southern boundary of the property, the minimum lot width has to be 80 feet as shown on the master development conceptual plan. There are architectural standards for the homes, including, there are options in there, but gables, dormers, raised entries, eaves, stone accents, things of that nature, and then a requirement for either stucco or full-width brick or stone along those. On landscaping and buffer requirements, there's a minimum 25-foot buffer tract with plantings shown in the PUD document around the entire boundary of the property. There's an option on the southern end where the developer would be required to put in a 6-foot-high privacy fence along the rear lot line of all lots. The fence cannot protrude into the required buffer area, and the fence has to be constructed on the rear property line of each lot. Along the southern boundary, there would be two options. That would be either a 25-foot fully landscaped and fenced buffer, or an undisturbed spatial buffer with a fence constructed on top of a 4-foot-tall earthen berm, which is either sodded or seeded. Under access, there will be the main vehicular access to the site proposed would be a divided boulevard type entrance that would have 2 exit lanes plus whatever deceleration and acceleration lanes are required by Lake County, and to allow the stacking of autos if in the entry and exit. A secondary access point is normally required if a development exceeds 99 units. That can be waived if the boulevard, which it will be required to be, the boulevard type entrance road is built along Highway 44. That will allow appropriate emergency and life safety access without going into any other neighborhood. They're required to have decorative features along the front of that entranceway as well of at least 5 feet. Any transportation improvements required by Lake County are covered in the document that it basically says we'll support whatever Lake County requires. Wetlands on the site, there aren't many, but they have to be identified and protected. Under irrigation and water usage, there are requirements for water conservation and maximum area of irrigation for each lot. Under recreational requirements, there's a required 3.47 acres of recreational space. That would include a swimming pool, cabana, on-site parking, and that would have to be completed prior or by the time 150 residential units have been constructed. There is an implementation clause in this zoning so that there are 24 months to substantially commence the development, or it would have to come back, end up having to come back before this board with another public notice and another zoning hearing. And is there a site plan you can put up, Diane, please? The gold and green one? Thank you. It's a little bit difficult to tell from what we have here, but along the top of that plan is County Road 44. I think I've got a pointer here. There we go, if it works.
Can you turn it?
Yeah, the pointer won't work here. Pointer's not showing up, but on the top right, there we go. You can see County Road 44 and the proposed development. At this time, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Kathy Hadaway from Poulos and Bennett, who is representing this case, is here and would like to make a presentation.
Please, if you would, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, may I remove my mask for the presentation?
Sure, ma'am, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Kathy Hadaway with Poulos and Bennett, 2602 East Livingston Street, Orlando. Here representing the developer and applicant for the Roebuck Ostrander applications. I do have a PowerPoint if we're able to get that going.
Technology always walks every time.
There's always that awkward pause before the PowerPoint comes up.
his laptop has completely locked up. He lost his sign.
Well, I can go ahead and get started, and maybe the presentation can catch up with me. I wanted to first start with the point that there are actually 3 applications moving through the city's process with regard to these properties. The first is the annexation, which does not come before the Planning Commission, as you know, but will be required to have 2 hearings before the City Commission. So again, we are proposing to annex this property from Lake County jurisdiction into the city of Leesburg. The second is the future land use map amendment, which is the comprehensive plan amendment that staff spoke of, which goes here to the Planning Commission, then goes to the City Commission for a first hearing and transmittal up to the state Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for a state review, then comes back to the City Commission for final adoption. And last is the PUD zoning, which comes, of course, before you tonight, and then 2 readings before the City Commission. I'd like to take a moment to compare what is being proposed tonight to what is in existence today. I think it's extremely important to note, as staff indicated and their map showed, that the current future land use under Lake County jurisdiction on the property is the urban low-density residential. The urban low-density residential allows up to 4 units per acre. That future land use is not only present on the subject property for tonight, but it is present along a very wide area along the east side of County Road 44. That future land use surrounds this property on the north, east, and south sides. So all the way down around Lake Silver is this same future land use designation, as well as north and east of the property. A portion of this property also includes the R3 zoning, which allows up to 3 units per acre. That's what's on the property today. The R3 zoning is on the western side of the property, and there's an R1 zoning on the remainder of the property today. What we are proposing is an exactly analogous future land use in the city of Leesburg. We are proposing the City of Leesburg estate future land use, which, just like the county future land use that is on the property today, allows up to 4 units per acre. So we are not proposing any increase in the maximum allowable development on the property. And our proposed zoning is, our PUD is at a density of just over 3 units per acre at 3.2 units per acre. It's also important to note, and for everyone to be aware, that this property, the Ostrander portion of the property, which is the more western side of the subject property, previously had an approved plat on it in Lake County. So there were already entitlements and an approved plat approved on this property. It was subsequently vacated because the developer, the proposed developer on that site, the home builder, wanted to be released from their financial obligations under the plat. So that's why it was released. But that plat was called Forest at Silver Lake, and it included 125 units on 41.69 acres, which equates to 3 units per acre. So 3 units per acre had already been approved on the property. And I think we're just about to get there. Great. We can go down a couple more slides. Here's good. So this is a picture of the Forest at Silver Lake plat previously approved on a portion of this subject property. Again, it's represents 125 units with a density of 3 units per acre. I think what else is very important to note is on this previously approved plat, the portion of the plat on the southern boundary that is adjacent to or closest to Silver Lake, those lots were 65 feet in width. So previously approved on the property was a plan with lots that were 65 feet in width, adjacent on the southern boundary. Next is our PUD plan, which is oriented so you can tell a little better what it is. Again, it's county, as Mr. Miller mentioned, County Road 44 on the left side, providing the access to the development. And you'll see that there are 3 different sizes of lots based on the colors on this map. The 2 yellow lots are, colored lots, are 50 feet in width. The lots on the southern boundary in the more brownish color are 80 feet in width. So again, 15 feet wider than was previously approved on the property. You'll also see the green 25-foot buffer surrounding all sides of the property as is required by the city. So specifically, some of the features of our proposed PUD plan are the 80-foot wide lots on the southern boundary, with the remainder being 50-foot wide lots on the interior and northern border. The 25-foot perimeter buffer, which Mr. Miller indicated could be a couple of different ways. It could either be a natural buffer or a planted buffer. What's also important to note is that there is also a 15-foot rear setback on those lots. So this buffer is not a part of the lot. So there would be the 25-foot perimeter buffer and then 15 feet, minimum of 15 feet until you would encounter the structure of a home. So 40 feet from the property line to the closest structure on the southern boundary. We are going to provide about 26.5 acres of open space, which exceeds the city's requirement for 30% of the property, the project. And our only access will be on County Road 44. In talking with city staff and understanding a little bit better the option of having the boulevard entrance with 3 lanes, 1 lane coming in, 2 lanes going out in a divided format, that will eliminate our need for an emergency access on the southeast portion of the property. So again, we will have a single access point onto County Road 44. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will certainly engage any questions you have and be prepared to respond to any comments from the audience.
Thank you, Ms. Hadaway. Does any of the commissioners have any questions of this petitioner? Go ahead, Commissioner O'Kelly.
The 26.52 acres of open space?
Yes.
Now, what is that? Does it include road right-of-ways?
No, sir. Commissioner, it does not include road right-of-ways. It is comprised of park tracks, the open space buffer tracks, wetland buffers, and stormwater.
Do you know how much of that is wetlands?
There's about a half an acre total wetlands on the site, and we will be impacting about half of that for, I think, for stormwater needs. But as the staff pointed out, there's very, very little wetland on this property. It was previously citrus, so it's predominantly high and dry.
Okay, any more questions from the commission?
Yes, I have one. Just to clarify, the Midsummer Lane access now is you're not asking for that.
That is correct. We will have
My apologies.
we will have what's called a hammerhead cul-de-sac configuration at the end of that street. You can see on the far, it's the last section on the right side of the project, the north-south road there that comes down to Midsummer Lane. That will now not even have an emergency access.
Okay, so you won't be impacting any of the neighborhoods then, from what I'm seeing, on the east side or the southeast portion of the property. The only access is going to be out on 44 strictly?
That is correct, one entrance, one and only.
Okay, I have one further question regarding your buffer. You've got a 25-foot minimum buffer, a 15-foot setback. Is the design of the home such that they will reach that full setback, or no?
We don't have a home builder right now,
Okay.
so I can't tell you exactly what the footprint of the homes would be, but they would have to, of course, remain within those setback parameters.
No, that's fair enough. It was just curious.
Without having a builder at this point in time, do you have a price point in mind?
No, sir, but I can tell you it will be consistent with the general market here in Leesburg. So these will not be, they will be similar to Radio Road, if you're familiar with the Radio Road project.
Yes, ma'am.
Be similar to that.
Well, as you know, there are several homes that are in the $1 million price range in there, and there's also several that are close to that. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the room is full, because they are concerned about that. What can you say to appease them?
Well, I can tell you, first, and not to speak on behalf of the city, but I can certainly share with you that the intent of the city and the plans that the city's making is to promote development in this area. There's a sewer line that the city is extending down County Road 44 that actually this applicant provided $750,000 contribution toward that in relation to the Radio Road project. And that was a requirement of the city for the Radio Road project. So there is whether this project happens or not, that sewer line is being extended. So the city is definitely preparing for development in this corridor. As you know, it's within the city's ISBA. It's eligible for development. With regard to the size of the lots or the size of the homes, residential development can be compatible irrespective of its size. That's a fairly confident statement from a planner. I am a certified AICP planner and am familiar with both the state statute definition of compatibility, and will tell you that with the existing future land use and the existing zoning that is on a portion of this property, it was clearly the intent to have, over time, higher development and higher density in this area, or it would not have had the 4 units per acre density allowable.
All right. Go ahead.
One more question. On the south side, far east, at the end of the cul-de-sac in Silver Lake Meadows, which will no longer be an access point, correct?
Correct.
That site plan would be modified in order to show, if you have a road going south, you're going to have a cul-de-sac down there on your own property instead of that cul-de-sac that's right there now, correct?
That is correct. There's a leader, a pointer on, if you look at the, again on that section where the road comes down to Midsummer, if you look to the last green square past the last lot on the left side of the road, there's a kind of a larger green space.
Right.
That leader line addresses the fact that a hammerhead turnaround will be placed there.
Dan, I'm absolutely amazed that the city isn't requiring some sort of ingress and egress other than 44 for emergency purposes. Can you address that? or-
Yes, sir. We did get significant feedback in that regard from the public, which we appreciated, because going out there is quite a difference. And By utilizing the option that is within the code to require what's called a boulevard type entrance, then you create a situation where you no longer need that access. And that was based on public input.
Well, unless you have a catastrophe on 44. And then you have an ingress and egress problem.
On 44, that would include everybody on 44, right?
That's very true, very true. Usually they put a gated type thing up where for emergency purposes you could, if necessary, utilize it, but not for public use.
The only other option that would be supportable, in staff's opinion, would be some type of emergency only. That means it would have to be activated by fire and police, by the sirens or something like that.
Right.
So it's not something that could go through at all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Hadaway, you may take a seat, and I'm going to give the public a little bit of an opportunity for some input. I have a lot of people that stood up to be sworn in, but I've only got 3 appearances requests.
2 months ago, or a month ago. Oh, I signed up 2 months ago.
I'm talking about right now.
I signed up for this meeting 2 months ago.
Okay.
Which was delayed.
I can appreciate that, but I don't have these names in front of me. And you are, sir?
John Fisher.
Mr. John Fisher? You may take the podium and remove your mask to speak.
I just want to point, John Fisher, 9237 Silver Lake Drive.
Thank you.
Live on Silver Lake. So my comments and concern is what was mentioned earlier, and I'll try to speak loud enough.
So it's really 2 areas. You know, here's where we are on Silver Lake. These are acre-plus lots. I'm not sure what these are, maybe 6,500. So there's no compatibility when you talk about property values. I'll wake up overnight when this is planned and approved, and my property would be worth whatever, half the amount, a third of the amount, a quarter of the amount. So I'm really concerned. This looks pretty. I'm not sure what it's doing. Appeasing somebody, definitely not appeasing where I live. If these were a suggestion, if these were at least 1 acre lots, right, they would start to provide some transition to this development, right? 1 acre lots, half to 3/4 acre lots, you know, and then these little ones in here. Similarly, over here, here's a, you know, great, beautiful development, half acre lots. You go across or down the street, and then, you know, again, these property values, these are, again, half or a quarter the size. And again, if these were at least half acre lots, A, they'd be compatible with nearby existing residential properties,
All right.
and help with the value of, you know, what we're trying to do. So I'm a supporter of development and growth, but I definitely want to, you know, see something more blended and
Okay.
more aligned.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fisher. And also, I'm going to ask that we restrict comments to 3 to 5 minutes. We want to go home tonight. And so I have in front of me a Daniel DeVaries, 9145 Silver Lake Drive.
I'm Dan DeVries, and I'm at 9145 Silver Lake Drive where we reside. We also own property at 8541 County Road 44, which is bordered by North Silver Lake towards Clark Street. My question is this: have you done a study for the traffic? The reason I ask that question is, since January through now, the fatalities from North Silver Lake towards Clark Street, I know of 2 that happened near our property. I'm just being appraised, there's at least 4. How are we going to combat that? How many lives do we need to lose before we quit building and putting people in places of risk.
Well, sir, we take a chance when we get on the road any place around here, especially now. I can appreciate your concern, but there will be a traffic study required by the developer before he can get approved.
So that has not been done yet?
I haven't seen a, what do you have, Dan?
It actually has been done.
Okay.
The traffic, yes, the traffic.
Can you give me
engineer is
some
here.
input on that, please, Dan?
I would give that to Kathy.
Please, Ms. Kathy.
Thank you.
To answer his question also is, most people are not going to put out the money it takes to get some of these studies done until they get step one, you know, approved. If you don't approve this, they don't need any studies. So, but they all will have studies done not only for traffic, school impacts, quite a few things. There's lots of hoops to jump through.
Well, you certainly would like to have the information in front of you, understood and available before you make a decision, not make a decision and then have all these studies done. So I personally would like to see this done.
Ms. Hathaway, would you like to answer that question, please?
Mr. Chairman, Kathy Hadaway again for the record. Yes, we were required by the city to conduct a traffic study. We have our traffic engineer with us this evening to answer any questions that arise with regard to traffic or trip generation for the project. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Sahidi, who will respond to any transportation questions this evening.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ayman Saidi. I'm a traffic and mobility consultant, 3101 McGuire Boulevard, Orlando, Florida. So a traffic study has been submitted to the city for review. It is still in the reviewing process. We did receive comments from the Regional Planning Council just a few days ago, so we didn't get a chance to respond. But we are in the process of updating the report to incorporate the comments. The traffic study follows the guidelines of the Lake Sumter MPO guidelines for traffic impact analysis. The methodology was reviewed and approved by the Lake Sumter MPO, which is the reviewing body of the traffic study itself. As I said, we're still in that process. We've identified some traffic issues at the intersection of US 441 and County Road 44 that we are also proposing some improvements. As far as the roadway capacity, there is capacity on the road as far as the road, County Road 44.
Where is it at?
Let's let the gentleman speak. Let's let the gentleman speak.
I'm not making up.
That's a fair question. There is not capacity. That is a false statement.
Okay, I'm not making up numbers. So there is traffic counts that are done by the county and by the state, and there are capacities that are adopted by the county or by the city, and that road, County Road 44 from US 441 onwards, has a specific capacity, adopted capacity for lower service D. And with the existing traffic on the road today compared to the capacity, the existing traffic is lower than the capacity of the road. So yes, there is capacity on the road today.
Well, we can pack 1,000 people in the room. That's not right.
Sir, we'll call on you if you have a counterpoint, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So that's all I can say at this point, but as I said, we're still in the process of responding to comments and updating the report according to the comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can we ask really quick, was there any study done as far as the effect?
Sir, you're going to have to stand up and identify yourself on the record.
I think I'm probably the next
Okay.
person on the list.
And your name?
Jim Spiker.
Mr. Ted, can I add one comment to my already speak? North Silver Lake Drive already has been approved for 256 apartments. Has that been taken into consideration for the traffic on 44? Has it been taken into consideration for the traffic on Silver Lake? This is a serious problem.
This commission recommended denial on that particular project, but again, we were just a recommending body.
Thank you for that.
Go ahead, sir. Please identify yourself and where you live.
My name is Jim Spiker. Live at 34052 Matthews Cove, which is right on the back side of the right side of that. The question I had, just for the person who was just asking, it wasn't really part of my statement, but was about the traffic on Silver Lake Road, if they had taken into account Silver Lake Road, Silver Lake Drive. If anybody knows where Starbucks and Chipotle and the grocery store are, anybody leaving these neighborhoods have a choice. They can either drive all the way down 441 or all the way down 44 to 441, hang a left and drive all the way back up past the dealerships to get there, or they can cut across Silver Lake Road to Silver Lake Drive and either turn at the college or take Morningside across to Radio Road. Already, that road is packed, and we have a huge amount of walkers, joggers, especially with COVID-19. It's like a minefield driving down that road right now to get in and out. So I'm wondering if did they take any of that into account with their traffic study?
I can't answer that question. Sir, can you answer that question?
There has to be a separate type of analysis done for what we call cut-through traffic, to identify if there is, in fact, people cutting through Silver Lake to get to Starbucks. So we have not done that analysis at this point. We're again following the guidelines of the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sir, you seem to have a lot to say. Would you like to come in and identify yourself and tell us where you live?
Yes, sir.
Into the microphone, please.
Oh, I don't need a microphone. I'm sure everybody can hear me. Luke Zachary, 33811 Spring Drive. All right, my question is, first and foremost, which one of you stands to gain financially from this? I think everybody in this room deserves to know that. Don't say no because it's a lie. Somebody on this panel stands to gain financially from this.
Zero.
Zero, okay. So you all heard it. Remember this come election time. All right, the next
we are appointed by the commission, and we get paid $25 for this meeting so we can come up here and take some abuse from some people. Right. Let me tell you that. And I don't accept it because I don't want a 1099 from the city. And for you to insinuate that we're here to profit from this is simply bull.
Somebody stands to gain from this.
Yes, sir.
I know how this government works. Somebody stands to gain, but that's not.
Sir, with that attitude, we're not going to get very far with this commission. I can promise you that.
I have no doubt nobody in this room will get very far with y'all. If y'all are already introduced,
there's a lot of people out here that I love and respect.
That's cool. All right, listen. Why are we building 88 homes on 100 acres?
We're not.
Who are we trying to attract to this area? At a time when the Villages is expanding, University of Florida has just taken over Leesburg Regional Medical Center. There's an opportunity for Leesburg to attract higher earners to this area with nicer properties and improve our property value, aside from the obvious risk that is going to be added by adding all this traffic to 44, okay, because that is the only option for these people to drive. There's two wooden crosses. I encourage you to drive by my house, sitting less than half a mile from where we live. Okay, 2 people have died just right there. A total of 4. That comment was made earlier. I don't know where the other 2 are. I'm not going to pretend to know that. All right. Why is there a push to build these kind of homes? Why don't we add to the quality that we have here currently? Why don't we make these, like it was suggested earlier, 1-acre lots or half-acre lots? Where are these kids going to go to school at? You have Treadway Elementary. These schools are already packed. Where are they going to go to school? Why don't we increase and take a hold of the opportunity to up the value of Leesburg, the city, rather than attracting this?
You know, sir, you didn't make some sense until when you started your program.
I'm fired up, and I apologize because I'm not going to insinuate that you stand to gain, but I know government, somebody stands to gain somewhere. And it might not be somebody sitting right here, but everybody here has dealt with some corruption at some level. Everybody has. Everybody's been victimized by it. I have worked my tail off at the age of 25 to be able to afford to move into a neighborhood like this. I am living the American dream. I'm the son of an immigrant. I worked so hard to be here. My neighbors are here, immigrants from Cuba. We have worked our tails off to be here and live the American dream just to have our property values snatched from right underneath us. That's not right.
Thank you for your input, sir.
No answers on anything? Thank you for your input.
We're here to listen to you, sir. All right. We've got a Claude Hucorn?
That's me.
My other name. Did you want a counterpoint?
Well, I was traffic there.
Go ahead. I'm going to let this gentleman, then you come right back. Identify yourself.
Claude Hucorn. I live at 8729 Spring Court, basically the same development as Luke. Basically, we're located to the left of that. We have decent homes. Let's go with the accidents. I know it's been at least 4. There was one at North Silver Lake and 44. There was one at Treasure Island and 44. There was at least one, I believe there was 2 at East Treasure Island and 44.
I don't question that at all, sir. I don't question that. I don't question that at all.
Well, Luke and I have been out there a few times directing traffic because it's constant accidents.
Yeah.
And believe me, I've lived there 30 years. I built my house there 30 years ago. 44 has gotten to be, like one person said, a minefield. Thank God that I'm retired, because when I get out, I want to get on 44. 7 years ago, it took me 7 to 9 minutes for me to get on 44. Traffic coming from 441 was constant. As soon as that cleared, traffic from North 44, constant.
Right.
So I'm waiting for that to loosen up. And meanwhile, the light changes, here we go. So we stand there at the end of the road, waiting to get the heck out. Now, in a way, we're kind of lucky because we have a easement where we can take our long way around to get on 441. But I mean, that is a dangerous, I've had, believe it or not, several years ago, there was a person killed at the big tree at the entrance of our development. That's with the accidents. Traffic along the lake. The reason we built our house where we are, I was heavy into triathlons, biking, running, swimming. It was great. 3 miles around, I can go around 10, 15 times on the bike, never have to worry about it. Now, between the car dealers, students at college,
Right.
people coming through, and the apartments, it's ridiculous.
I know the area well, sir. I know the area well. And I appreciate your input very much. Okay, thank you. I'm trying to keep it down.
Comment if I can.
Well, I'm trying to keep it 3 minutes so that everybody get a chance to
Well,
speak,
just
sir.
one comment I think is going to make.
Okay?
Leesburg is now rated one of the top 10 dangerous cities for pedestrians and cyclists in the whole state of Florida.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'll let you finish your input.
Again, I'm Jim Spiker, as I identified earlier. I wanted to read something. This is from a Lake County Zoning Board meeting in September 7th of 2005. Greg Belliver from LPG in Mount Dora, they were studying on the golf course, putting some apartments in there. His assessment of Silver Lake Drive is Silver Lake Drive does not have a right-of-way. Much of Silver Lake Drive is prescriptive. This is a neighborhood street that has served a neighborhood that has been in existence since before 1920. This is an estate-type community with most lots along Silver Lake Drive being 2 acres and larger. So he's expressing that the road, the density, ability that the road can handle. There was a comment then made afterwards regarding the apartments being put in. It will destroy the integrity of this area. The traffic count probably did not take into consideration the 200 units being built on County Road 44. They will be cutting through Silver Lake Drive and going up Morningside to go to the mall. Morningside Drive is already heavily traveled. If this request is approved, it would just be a matter of time before the owner will be back wanting more homes. This is just the start. That was by 50-year resident of Silver Lake, Dan Roebuck. Nothing has changed on that road since that time.
Correct.
We now have the apartment complex going in, over 250 units. To add the 200 units he was worried about them building on 44 is the arbors. So we've got those 200 units he was concerned about. Now we've got another 250 going in. Now we've got another proposed 265 houses going in. All of them are going to take the same route to get where they need to go. I'd also like to agree with the assessment earlier of looking into doing a more of a transition with the property sizes going into this neighborhood. My house backs directly up to the right side of this. That is our view from the back of our home. We're property owners here in Leesburg on the boulevard as well, but personally we have quite a bit of our investment into our home. We've lived there for 14 years now. We've invested quite a bit of money into it, and I'm not against anybody making a buck, and I'm not against the development of this property. I'm just against them taking that buck out of my pocket to put it in theirs.
Thank you for your input, sir.
Thank you.
I think I've gotten these three taken care of. Is there anyone else that was, Miss Cindy, I see you back there. You've had your time for right now. I got a lot of people, sir.
It's Cindy Clark, and Ted, I promise you, I had told Dan I wasn't even going to speak. But Cindy Clark, 9145 Silver Lake Drive. Our property is on Silver Lake, and we're fortunate enough to have the property go all the way to Highway 44. So I have I just want to say I understand that everything that they're presenting, they keep saying that it's compatible. It's compatible with this, it's compatible with that. But see, I know, and I'm like Mr. Stryker over there, I have no problem with anyone trying to, do well, and that's not an issue. My problem is, where is the accountability to our neighborhood and to what we have? And the Ostranders have been there for, I know, probably 25 years. I've been there for 30. My parents were there for over 40. But I'm just saying, there's got to be accountability. And Dan Roebuck's family has been here since whenever. So it's like, okay, I don't mind, as he says, I don't mind making whatever you want to do and improve the area, but please try and get some type of committee together or something, and maybe it doesn't mean anything to them. It might be compatible, but is it accountable? Is it accountable to our community? Because, like I said, our property goes all the way out to 44. Well, 2 times in the last 6 months, and I sat out there and I have it on my phone, I have pictures of a young woman that came around, flipped her car, and I saw her taken out by FHP and put in a black bag. And I saw that, and I was within 10 feet of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was on our property, and it was on 44. So for these people to say they haven't made studies, or they say they have done studies, I don't know what kind of studies they've done, but they need to go back, they need to look at Silver Lake, and even if they do something, our properties and the size of the homes and the investments that all these neighbors have made over the years.
Yes, ma'am.
Have they even talked about, doing, and I'm going to say, I'm an ex-car dealer, but even the guy down the street, he did this, he's doing a berm, he's doing a wall, he's doing all of this, and he's staying off. but he's doing something to protect the neighborhood. But we don't see that Roebuck and Ostrander are doing anything to protect us. I do want to say one thing. That guy that was such a loudmouth, I think that he's like I think he's my back neighbor on the back side of my property. Okay, I mean, because he drives me crazy with his fireworks. So,
Thank you,
anyway. But anyway, I just ask. It's a sincere request.
You made your point.
Don't make accountability, and it can be compatible, but we need.
Thank you.
We need
accountability.
We need help. Accountability. That's it.
Thank you, Cindy. Anyone else like to speak? Something new, another point of view, possibly? Please, you have to come to the mic and identify yourself, Doc.
I'm David Burnstead, 9585 Silver Lake Drive. I just want to know, what is the smallest square footage of a house that will be allowed to be built on those lots?
Miss Kathy, can you answer that?
Mr. Chairman, Kathy Hadaway again for the record. I believe I know the number, but I'm going to double check it just to confirm. And I believe it is also in your conditions of approval for this project.
It is. Thought it'd be easier for you to find it than me.
Mr. Chairman, it's showing to be for 50-foot lots, 1,600, for 80-foot lots, 1,900.
Okay.
Mr. Miller got to it before I did.
1,600. Okay, does anybody else have any more input? Please, sir, you can come up and identify yourself.
Hi. Good evening, I'm Rick Bossart. I live at 9524 Midsummer Lane. My property is about 4 houses down from where that emergency access was going to be and is no longer.
Yes, sir.
I have never attended one of these meetings, so this is really kind of an eye-opening experience for me. And I really appreciate the opportunity. This is America at work today. I have lived in Florida most of my life with very little time away from the state, and I've been a resident of Lake County since 1989. I consider this to be my home. I don't know about all these studies and all these regulations and so forth. I do recall something that I believe it was said by Mark Twain, that there's lies, don't lies, and statistics. And sometimes you get lots of numbers that don't mean a whole lot. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. I look at this plan, and when it is such a glaringly awful plan, in the sense that if you look at what's around it, I mean, this color bar bunch of, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm sorry, but my first reaction when I saw this was that I had been really betrayed by people I considered friends and neighbors. I really felt that way. And with Cindy Clark, I agree completely. I think people should have the right to profit by, if they've worked and they've bought property, they want to develop it. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with what I believe to be unbridled development. And Florida is a state that has a history of unbridled development, where developers come in and build and build and build, take the profit and leave the consequences of the people left behind: the increased traffic, the crowded schools, the lacking infrastructure, the overuse of utilities, the overuse of water, the ruined or damaged environment. And so I don't have much to add beyond the fact that I do have an investment. I've got a piece of property that I'd love to have maintain its value. It lost tremendous value in the 2011 crash, and it's just coming back now. And what I see is this is going to produce what I consider to be ultimately a slum. It's going to be high-density housing. It is not going to be maintained to the standard of the community, and it's going to be a tremendous drag on the property values and the quality of life in this area of Lake County. And we don't need that kind of a development If Leesburg wants to promote development, well, development can have many, many different forms. There's good and bad development. This, to me, is bad development.
Thank you, sir. And if I can make a statement and a point, we're not the enemy up here, okay? We're not against you folks. We're not against you folks. We're dealing with an situation that's brought to us to make a decision on. And we're going to make a decision, a recommendation. In my personal opinion, I would ask Kathy to come back with a plan that says 15,000 square foot lots. That's something that's 100 by 150. That's something that you go in there and you could have maybe 130 or 140 homes instead of 260 homes. I feel as though the land has a right to be developed. It has a right to be developed properly. A person has a right to be able to sell their land and to develop their land. But we are in a planning commission, and our job is to plan and to plan properly. I please don't expect you to think that we are idiots up here, that we want to put 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag. If you were here just last meeting when we had the Sunnyside issue, another situation where the roads out there, if you've ever driven Sunnyside, you know where they put a nice development out there in the middle of it, and they improve the roads in front of it. But when the development's done, the roads beyond it are not fixed. So now how good is that in planning? Okay, so we do have a planning mindset. We do have Leesburg in our heart. These people that sit here, I've lived here for 50, 60 years. I care about how Leesburg is. This gentleman got me fired up. Now, he did a good job of it, but he's too big to complain too hard at.
This picture right here got me fired up. So
All right.
I think we're on the same page now.
I would like for Ms. Hathaway to, and I'm speaking for myself, one person on this commission, that possibly you would like to consider coming back with a plan that would say 15,000 square feet would darn sure get my approval. At this case, my personal opinion would not get my recommendation for approval. So I am just one person here, and I'm not saying this for an applause by any means.
Can I ask a question? Are these tract homes, or, I mean,
We don't have a builder on that, sir. All we have is a site plan at this point in
I'm
time.
just saying, looking at what I see, it sort of reminds me of tract home, and they're sticking this in the bunch of a custom homes. There's not a single home that's the same in my neighborhood. My name's Dave Ernie, and I live on Wedgewood Lane, and I'm just saying that when you say sticking 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag, that's what they're doing. And I applaud you for recognizing this, but this is wrong.
Okay, sir, I have a hand up in the back of the room. Please come to the microphone. You're next, sir.
Thank you. My name is John Hockey. I live at 34045 Matthews Cove next to Jim. Jim's my neighbor. And I'm the new guy. I've only been in Florida about 25 years. I have a question, though. I don't know. I know some of the people on Silver Lake, and I own my house. I bought it. I own it. I'm really upset about this whole concept of the devaluation that's plain as day that's going to happen to my property when you build this, okay? But I have a question, being the new guy. I just want to ask a question. Who owns these?
I believe the name of that is Silver Lake Golf Course. I can't think of the gentleman's name that bought that. That's on the side. Okay. Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh, Blue Valley on the other side.
My daddy taught me if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And you can tell by that setback how far off all of that noise is from those properties. Who owns them? It's not hard to see it.
I don't have a clue. This gentleman, and then ma'am, I'll call on you. Please identify yourself, sir.
Hello, I'm Todd Drennan. I live on 9307 Silver Lake Drive. So my property, my back property line abuts this development. I have multiple questions. First off, I believe this is now, or is annexed into Leesburg, is that correct?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. So part of my question is, on Silver Lake right now, we're in the county. What does that mean? Because we've got Leesburg all around us instead of just on 441. So I'm interested in how that plays out. I'm interested in knowing who maintains the 25 feet of property that I've got the benefit of. I've got the big lots next to me, but there's also a green belt, but who maintains that? I am an architect. I know very well that small buildings can be beautiful, and they don't necessarily decrease the value. But I have to agree, this looks very much like a tract neighborhood. And so my question is where is the HOA, the planning, the things that would make small worth somewhat of the quality of what the bigger things are around, if small is what's going to happen?
Okay.
So those are what I'm interested in knowing about, and I would also suggest that the traffic on Silver Lake, I have the luxury right now of driving on the wrong side of the road when I pass a pedestrian. And I hope they appreciate that. I appreciate it when I'm the one walking around it. And there's lots of people on Silver Lake that don't live on Silver Lake that use that.
Yes, sir.
And so I would suggest that the traffic going through there really needs to be considered.
Thank you. This lady and then Ms. Hathaway, I'll give you an opportunity to rebut some of these issues.
Hello, Anna Martinez, 8735 Spring Court, Leesburg. He's my neighbor, and the other gentleman that spoke. We moved here 14 years ago from Miami, Florida. This is how Miami started, right before we moved. Miami is a hellhole now. We left Miami for our children. We wanted a city that was room for growth, because there's always has to be change and growth. We all know that. Nothing can stay the same. However, what you're showing here, this is only the beginning. If you allow this to happen, you're going to have many more. And then what future are we leaving our children and grandchildren when you have all this and population exploding? If you think this is just one development, in less than 10 years, we can be just like Miami.
Thank you so much.
Something to consider.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hathaway, would you like to speak to some of these concerns?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kathy Hadaway for the record. Yes, I would like to address several points that were raised this evening. I think one point I'd like to make clearer perhaps than I did earlier, and that is that there is no access from this project directly to Silver Lake Drive. So that is a point. This Silver Lake Drive will not directly serve this project. This property...
Yes, they will. They go right around it.
Please, let the lady speak.
This property is within the city's annexation area. It is intended to become part of the city of Leesburg. The city, any city, has a more urban density than the unincorporated areas around it. Unincorporated areas typically go up to a medium density residential, which is much higher than you have today. Lake County has a medium density residential. But the areas that are currently within the county around Silver Lake and off of Midsummer Lane, those are in the county. They will probably not come into the city at any point. I would doubt that those people would vote themselves to come into the city limits of Leesburg. But you do have areas that are undeveloped and designated for the city. Again, I want to point out that we are not asking for any increase in density over what is there today and what has been approved on a portion of this property previously. The type of development here and the size of the lots is a response to the market. That is what is being cried out for in this portion of Lake County. That is what a developer does. A developer responds to the market demand and provides a response to that market. These will be homes for families. This will be a neighborhood that has sidewalks. This will be a neighborhood that has its own recreation facilities and its own open space. And those recreation areas and open space buffers and other areas will be owned and maintained by a homeowners association. This project will have to comply with the City of Leesburg's architectural standards, and they are not slight, I can assure you. I have had the privilege of working with your staff on a number of projects in this city, and I can tell you that developers and home builders, they cringe a little bit when they see the architectural demands that are placed on them by the City of Leesburg. But they have to do it if they want to develop here.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that covers all of the comments that I heard. You've previously heard from the traffic engineer, and we would certainly appreciate this board's support of our applications tonight. Thank you.
You can stay right there.
I'd like to ask a question, if I could, please. The existing zoning is in the county, correct?
That's correct.
And a portion of that is zoned agricultural, is that correct?
The little piece that juts up,
Okay.
just that little piece is agricultural.
Okay, and
The
then-
portion, I'm sorry. I
And
was
so-
just going to say, the portion of the Ostrander piece is R3, which allows up to 3 units per acre, and then the remainder is R1.
Okay, the R1 zoning in the county allows how many units per acre? I believe it's 1 acre minimum lot size.
Not sure.
And agricultural allows 1 house per 5 acres. So the R3 is a portion of it, a portion of it's agricultural, a portion of it is R1. So you combine all those, I don't think you get quite the density that you're asking for in the county.
Correct. But overall, our density is the 3.2. That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kathy, would you, I don't know if you have the authority to make that decision or not, but you would get a positive response from me at 15,000 square foot lots. If they would like to come back with another plan for that, I would support it. I'm not speaking for the rest of the commission, it's just me speaking. Is that something you would consider?
I'm not the decision maker on this. This application. I'm a consultant and a planning consultant. So, but I can tell you that my understanding from talking with the applicant is that that is not a possibility for this property.
Okay, I understand. The commission have any questions of Mrs. Hadaway while she's at the microphone?
I do have one with the traffic engineer. Did you consider the ingress and egress from the development using the single entry on 44 as part of your study? Because now you do not have the rear entrance on one side.
Yes, the analysis was done with the one entrance, and there is a requirement for exclusive right turn and left turn lane at the entrance on 44.
Okay, with 250 units, they didn't request a stoplight or any kind of traffic control?
To get a traffic light, you would have to do a signal warrant study, which the requirements of it, you have to meet 8 hours minimum of certain demand of threshold.
Okay.
And we won't have that demand for just by traffic generated by this development.
Okay.
If something else comes across the street or whatever, I mean, that's something in the future. But
The reason I'm asking, that seems to be a major concern on
Yes.
44.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, does the commission have any more questions? Is the commission ready to make a motion?
I have a comment.
Comment?
Like you've been doing.
Yes, sir. Please. Please, pull the microphone up, Clell.
Okay. I'm not perfect on this. Don't need to get into an argument.
But one of the comments was, people come in, they do their development, and they leave. But while they're doing that development, they have this thing called impact fees, which are designed to be utilized after they're gone, so to speak. They're for schools, roads, and that sort of thing. And naturally, the home builders aren't real thrilled about having to pay those, and particularly like in a 55 and over community, we don't have kids, so we're not going to impact schools, but they still have to pay it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Okay, I'm going to, if there's a new item or a new thought that's different than what we've been hearing for the last hour and a half, I'll be happy to hear it. Okay? New info. We have people over here, please. We got already lined up at the wall. Ms. Mead. Okay, please, ma'am.
My name's Joanne Duncan, and I live at 9285 Silver Lake Drive, and
Yes, ma'am.
I have been in this area since I was 12 years old. And my...
Been here about 15 years then, right?
And, yes, piggyback on what everyone else has said, and the lot sizes and this and that, and what is compatible. My fear is that Bassville Park is just going to continue and jump over Radio Road into my backyard. And as far as the traffic study, I would gladly volunteer my front yard for them to do that, because I cannot tell you, between all of the test drives, and like what they say, it's, you know, it is an I call Silver Lake Drive the largest sidewalk in the county, maybe in this state, because that's what it is, and that's what's wonderful about that area. And so, but then with that, we have people that are out on our docks that just park in our front yard because, you know, it's the house, the road, and that, you know, people just decide to go get fast food on their lunch break and park in my front yard. Yeah. And it's extremely challenging, and so, and it's been even more so impacted with all of the apartments. You know, I'm coming out of Silver Lake Drive, or on North Silver Lake to turn on 44, and there's vehicles coming that don't belong there. Not to say that they don't belong there, that was wrong to say, but it's a cut through. So yes, I understand that piggybacks. You know, I probably live in one of the smallest homes on the lake, and it's 3,500 square feet. And so to think about a 1,600 square foot house that's going to be behind my house, and it's extremely heartbreaking. And totally not against growth, but like everyone said, it's the integrity of the area. Let's grow smart. My kids went to Treadway. They are busting at the seams with the impact fees that are to be done. What happened to all the impact fees from all the apartments that were there? But they're not zoned for, you know, most of all those are zoned for City of Leesburg. Okay. And like everyone else has said, we're county and love y'all, but we don't have an opportunity to vote for what is going on around us. And it's extremely, extremely challenging. And so
Thank you for your input, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chuck Hill. I'm the managing member of 9293 Silver Lake Drive on Silver Lake. So I'm the new guy in town here. I'm also a real estate developer. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I'll say I own businesses or had in 8 states. That's my bio. I want to apologize to the developers if they're here for one time I'm on the other side of the fence. This plan you have here is terrible. You're basically taking a wealth transfer. You got beautiful homes on North Silver Lake Drive. You're going to have tract homes, small tract house lots right behind it. It's a terrible plan. It's total wealth transfer. The real estate values are going to drop. You're going to drop real estate values of people that have houses there for 50 years, so a developer or one or two can make a buck.
I apologize to them. I know what it's like to be in this meeting, and I think it's a terrible thing. I have motorhomes on Fort Lauderdale. I have half of my friends, and my house is across from the beach on the water. Half of my friends rather come to this area than Fort Lauderdale, when we can walk to the bars, take the boat to the bars, the restaurants, go across the street to the beach, because it's a rural area. Bald eagles, they've never seen, nor have I. I don't know if I've ever saw an owl on a road. I don't know if I even saw mouse in a tree before. You guys take that for granted. But when you're not from this area, I went with my friends with $1 million yachts to go down the Door Canal. You boat down there every day. It's no big deal for you guys. But to somebody from the Fort Lauderdale area, it's a big deal. It's a beautiful area. Half my friends rather come to here. It has nothing to do with the house. They like the area. You're going to ruin the area. This is going to turn it into the villages. Look at the size of the lots. Build Summer Lane Drive. The gentleman here, Jim, he's going to have tract homes right up from his beautiful home. Now, there's plenty of land in Lake County to develop. This isn't Manhattan. Where I come from, we have to develop small areas. Here we don't. Lake County's full of land. Why are they piggybacking their profits on the back of the Silver Lake residents?
Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm going to close this off for public discussion at this point in time, and have discussion amongst us commissioners. Does anybody have input or make a statement? I hear no input from any of the commissioners on this or a statement to be made, so I will entertain a motion.
Motion for denial, public hearing case LSCP 2125, RO Residential, large-scale comprehensive plan amendment as presented.
I have a motion for denial. Do I hear a second? I have a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now, at this point in time, hold on.
It didn't matter.
We'll move on to item 2, please.
Unanimously, I voted against it.
Oh, you voted against the motion? I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Now, we're going to public hearing case PUD 2126. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion in the case of PUD 20126 RO Residential Plan Unit Development for denial.
I have a motion for denial. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. We have one opposed, Commissioner Coleman. Motion carries. As you know, this goes to the City Commission, and I think the first reading is October 12th, and then the second reading after it goes to the state for whatever will be December 14th. I strongly suggest you attend and follow up. Thank you very much for participation. We do appreciate your input, and we do understand your concerns.
Thank you.
The commission will now stand adjourned until we move to our new location at City Hall.